I do want to start with the president's cabinet. As I just said, Gabbard confirmed yesterday, RFK Jr. confirmed today, Linda McMahon, Kash Patel, likely to be confirmed soon. Governor, there's this push for the administration to hire the most qualified, but many of them, if we are truthful, do not have a lot of relevant experience. So do you have concerns, since it appears that, they are all going to move forward? There's nothing really stopping these confirmations.
So they have enough experience in the areas they need experience. And so, I mean, we could go back and forth all day about Biden's cabinet picks. I mean, let's just look at his FAA administrator that knew absolutely nothing about the aviation industry and yet ran that place because of the DEI issues and all of that. And it obviously didn't go well. So look, is the most qualified person in America running any of these departments? No, that's never happened. It's Washington, D.C. Obviously, politics comes into play, unfortunately. But what these guys are going to do, specifically RFK Jr., he's going to disrupt the system. And that's what Trump was really elected for, right? Whether you like it or not, and I disagree with a lot with RFK Jr., but he is going to disrupt a system that needs some disruption. And that very much also aligns with what's happening in DOGE, right? In terms of efficiencies, breaking up monopolies, or contracts that have existed for years, and these kind of, these monopolies, these that have just controlled this process for decades and decades with no oversight and no opportunity for other folks to come in and say, maybe there's a better way to do it. So in those areas, these guys, I mean, there's good background with RFK on the health. He wants to make America healthy. It's a very simple thing for people to understand. He's looking at getting chemicals out of our food and all that sort of thing. But he also brings that avenue of, I'm not part of the Washington establishment, and I'll break it to make it better if that's what I have to do.
Well, and Governor, I mean, certainly I think most Americans, even regardless of which party they are, do agree that there needs to be some shaking up in Washington. Things do need to be done differently. But do you think that there's going to be someone or something to maybe pump the brakes if needed, if some of those shakeups start to happen a little too quickly?
That's Congress, right? So most all of this is going to have to go through a congressional process. Trump has acknowledged that himself. He's going to have to work with Congress. That's why DOGE and HHS and education, any of these changes that have to happen, they're going to have to go to Congress and show where's the data, where's the information, how is this going to be better for the American people,
We're not seeing much pushback from Congress, though, Governor. So, I mean, that's why, do you have concerns? Because it does seem like, pretty much all of the Republicans are falling in line with the president and what he wants to do.
Well, look, they only have about a 2 or 3 vote margin there, right? And there's some, I don't want to call them extremists, I don't like that word, but there's some I'll call more libertarian-minded folks that are making sure that 2 things happen. They take funding the government, which is a big deal come this March. They're going to do that first. And then they'll take the DOGE, the shakeups, the reorganization of Washington. That'll be a second piece we likely see later in the year. So there's kind of 2 battles to be had here. I think they're doing a smart thing by not mixing the two too fast, because there's a lot more work to do. RFK is not even in there yet, right? So I think we have months and months and months to get through the multi-trillion-dollar organization known as Health and Human Services with hundreds of billions. And again, I think the shock here isn't that they're just finding efficiency, but the waste, the fraud and corruption. The corruption piece, these contracts and these payments that have been going out to folks and contractors for ages with no oversight or checks and balance. The number of those things happening, I think, is just shocking them more than anything, and making them realize that, you know what, maybe we can find $1 trillion in savings here for the American people.
Right, I definitely do want to talk about some of those contracts in a bit. But first, Governor, as you can see there on the lower side of your screen, some protesting there. That's Democrats protesting DOGE. I want to talk about the buyouts, and a federal judge has now given the green light for this plan to proceed. We've heard about it at this point. I think it's about 75,000 workers who've accepted it. The White House press secretary spoke to NewsNation this morning. I'd like to listen to part of what she had to say.
We are saving the American taxpayers' money at the end of the day. And this is going to make our government more efficient. These 77,000 people made the decision that they don't want to work for this administration, maybe because they didn't want to show up in the office. And that's no longer acceptable under President Trump.
All right, Governor, so I said 75. I was wrong, 77, so even more. This is really being seen as a major win for the president. What is your reaction?
Yeah, I think it's great. Look, governors do buyouts and retirement plans and manage the workforce all the time. I hope Democrats aren't complaining about this because, look, it was Al Gore and Bill Clinton in the mid and early 90s that proposed cutting 12% of the federal workforce. I didn't hear Democrats complaining about them back then. So, no, this is just about efficiency. This is about the fact that most of these folks are basically part-time workers working from home, getting a full-time salary. And you know who pays that salary? It's not the government. It's you. It's me. It's our neighbors. It's our taxpayers. We are paying all those salaries and getting very little product for it. Where's the value add? At the end of the day, you always have to ask, when Washington gets involved, what's the value add? And right now, it is 0 to none at best in most of these agencies.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.